Good evening, everyone. We'd like to call this meeting of the Trumbull Police Commission to order at 6:02 p.m. Would you please stand and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic
for which it stands,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We remain for a moment of silence for all deceased police officers. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anybody from the public that would like to be heard? No one?
Mr. Chairman, Dawn Cantafio, I will bring her in.
Okay.
You heard that?
No.
You can't hear what they're saying?
Good evening. Can you hear me?
We can hear you, Dawn.
Thank you. I am Dawn Cantafio. I live at 72 Tate Road. I am a member of Town Council, and tonight I am speaking as a resident of Tate Road. I would like to thank Chairman Ray Baldwin and his commission for allowing me to speak this evening. I would also like to acknowledge the First Selectman Tesoro, Chief Lombardo, Assistant Chief Burns, the Trumbull Police Department, the Traffic Division, and the Traffic Authority for their help enforcing safety in our neighborhood. Not always an easy task, especially on these nice weekends. Some of our concerns on Tate Road are keeping sightlines clear for everyone entering and exiting the Pequannock Trail and Tate Road. Parking has been on both sides of the street at times, and we've had to pull over to make room for vehicles, and we've also had trouble with people blocking driveways. Some parents have had to have cars pull into their driveway without checking for children. Parts of the road where some cars park are not wide enough for two-way traffic, and emergency vehicles may not be able to pass. During the past few months, we have seen a decrease in the amount of traffic traveling up and down our street. And for the first time in many years, children had the freedom to ride.
Your ear, that's what they see is your ear.
Children have had the freedom to safely ride bikes, walk up and down our road, and play in their driveways. Please consider granting the parking restrictions for our street so we will be able to keep our residents safe and the roadways clear for two-way traffic. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to be heard? Okay, I'm not hearing from anybody, so we will close public comment. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the June 9, 2020 Police Commission meeting minutes. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Make a motion.
Chris Treves. Second? Angelo? Angelo, you're muted.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? None opposed. Chief, I turn it over to you for correspondence.
Thank you. The first letter you see is something from a resident who is actually a Fairfield police officer who one of our officers on the, excuse me for a minute, can you just lower that or mute it? All right.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, better. The first letter in your correspondence is an email that I received from a Fairfield police officer who, with his grandson, was fishing in Old Mine Park recently, had a problem with some of his fishing gear. And one of our officers in the trail, who have been patrolling the trails for months now, actually stopped and helped his grandson. And he just wanted us to let us know that the officer did a great job. It was nice community policing. And in the second page of that email is a picture of Officer Leos, who was the officer helping his grandson. And it was just one of those real nice things that the officers do in the valley, in the trails, Old Mine Park, all the parks when they see something. And I thought it was real good community policing, and I was really happy to see that just in part of his day helping out a youngster. So it was very nice, and I was happy to see the letter. The next letter is from a resident of Easton who reported that their brother, who happens to be unfortunately paralyzed, he and his wife were involved in a hit and run accident, and Officer Fortunato was assigned to assist them with trying to determine who hit their car. She went there. She was very involved with the case. She spoke with the victim and his wife. According to the letter here, she was very kind and compassionate, and she solved the case. So he just wanted to let us know what a good job she did. And she's one of our newer officers in the field. But again, another great professional conduct that we get letters on quite regularly about the officers. The next letter is from two residents of Trumbull, Chuck and Leslie Pavel, who sent in just a thank you to all the officers for protecting and serving the community, and saying that, you know, most people, the majority of people really do appreciate the work that the officers do and how professional they are and the way they conduct themselves, and thanking them for their service. So that was very nice. The next letter is from from a nurse in town who, Mrs. Cordia, who actually needed law enforcement and EMS during the middle of the night where she was having some medical problems. And she actually dropped off a couple of bags of lifesavers for the officers because they are lifesavers. The officer who responded to her house was Matt O'Connor that evening. She was very happy. He was empathetic, or she's empathetic, because obviously being a nurse, she understands some of the frontline workers, the positions that they're in and how difficult they can be. But Officer O'Connor did a great job. She was very happy for him responding as quickly as he did and helping her and being compassionate. The following letter of correspondence is from Roberta Bartek, who was wanted to thank the Trumbull Police Department for helping make the Trumbull High School graduation parade a huge success. The one that went from the mall parking lot up Madison Avenue, Lake Avenue, Whitney Avenue, Daniels Farm, and to the high school for the graduates who unfortunately couldn't have the typical graduation that we normally see. So it was just a nice quick email thanking us for helping out, and that they were appreciative of our efforts. And Captain Golding oversaw this effort and worked with the school people and others to make sure that that was done safely and that we had proper protection for people. The next letter is an email. It's actually some information that we received thanking us for all the work that the officers do and during these difficult times. He's just a concerned citizen. He thanks the officers for everything they do. He actually dropped off some trays of food for the officers in town. And again, another satisfied, very happy person. Wasn't even case related. It was just something that he wanted to thank us for. Following letter is a letter for Officer Pies. There was a car accident where somebody struck a mailbox on Chestnut Hill Road. No, I'm sorry, not Chestnut Hill. I believe it was Churchill Road, knocking out somebody's mailbox. Officer Pies responded there and found within a short period of time, he went and checked with some neighbors. They had some surveillance cameras. He determined who hit the mailbox and solved the case for her. So very nice. Following letter is from a resident of Fairfield, where she and her friends were unable to get a hold of a friend of theirs on a Saturday morning recently. They came to the department. Officer Teresa Mazza helped them. They went to the house. Unfortunately, did not have a good ending, but they were very happy with her kindness and her compassion and the way she handled herself, and all the members of the department for being as compassionate and helpful as they were. Following email is a thank you to the officers for protecting and serving the community each and every day. States the jobs they perform, maintain the safety and peace is ever changing in this difficult time. It does not go unnoticed. The following email is from a resident of town who just wanted to thank the first selectman, myself, town council chair Thornton, and Commission Chairman Baldwin for the joint statement we put out regarding the death of George Floyd, and how we our feelings and obviously condemning the actions of the Minneapolis officers in that case. The next correspondence is from the Department of Justice, Office of Public Affairs. As the commission knows, several months ago, we applied for a grant to hire an additional officer, basically for neighborhood work at the Trumbull Shopping Plaza. And it was approved. It's in the amount of $125,000. It starts next July 1st, 2021. And this is just the notice of the approval of the grant. So First Selectman's aware of it, and I just wanted to publicize this and let the commission know. Lieutenant Lopes worked on this and did a real good job, pulled everything together with the department, with the finance department, and Rena Bacalar, who coordinates the grants for the town. And we were happy to see that the grant got approved. So our goal is to hire somebody who is really full-time at TSP. So we have its own central. We have the substation there for 5 years now. And it's just a goal of ours to have somebody who's really one person assigned to that job, so they can be really in touch with all of the issues and security people there, the business owners, and really so we can have a better understanding and work better with them and closely with them. The next tab are the calls for services. As you can see, we had an uptick last month, June. We had 1,921 calls for services for all sorts and types of cases that the officers respond to. There were 83 traffic stops in the month, which is slightly higher than the month before. The next page just lists some of our primary cases that we respond to. Shoplifting, 52 in the month, with 5 cars stolen during the month, 3 attempted burglaries, 24 thefts from cars, and total of criminals for the month, 84 in the month of June. I can't say it enough. I say it every month. We put out another press release yesterday about cars being broken into and cars being stolen. I can't stress it enough to the public, and I'll use this opportunity once again to say, please lock your cars, take your valuables out of your cars, and take your keys or key fobs out of your cars, because almost every single one of these, if not every single one of them, are opportunities for people to just open your car and take whatever's in there out of the car. So if you make it harder for them, they're move on to something else. So we ask the residents of the town to lock up their cars and take their valuables and their keys. Alarms for the month of June were 114 in the month, compared to 101, I believe, the month before. The next 3 pages are the total calls, 1,919 calls for the month, and it's just lists any type of call they go on and how many for each call. The arrest summary are 4 pages of adult arrests. There were 26 adult arrests in the month of June for any type of charge, whatever somebody's arrested for: breach of peace, assaults, disorderly conduct, threatening, drug charges, sexual assault, whatever it might be, they're all here. The next page is our K-9 division, where K-9 activity, we did some training. We assisted other departments with some demonstrations that were going on in the month of June, and they continued with their training. Traffic reports, 61 cases reported to the traffic division during the month of June. Some of them were accidents to investigate, some were motor vehicle complaints, several funeral escorts, car seat installations, speed trailer designation in different streets throughout the town where we have some problems and some concerns for speeding motorists. Next page is our selective enforcement list of different roads where we ask patrol officers to do selective enforcement in these areas of town, and this Reddit roll call for the officers to be aware of where they need to be and the places that they need to pay attention to and do some more work in that area. There were no distracted driving or DUI activity in the month of June. And the following page is the Detective Bureau report. They have 27 open cases as we speak. They took in 18 cases in the month of June, closed 11 cases. You'll see at the bottom right-hand corner, we have started fingerprinting again for residents for any reason. Pistol permits, it could be for security reasons, it could be for employment, whatever it might be. So for March, April, and May, we did not have fingerprinting. As you recall, there's an executive order from the governor that said that police departments could suspend that activity, and we did. But we've started again with some measures in place to make sure that our officers remain safe. The Detective Bureau monthly status report. They arrested somebody on a sexual assault first degree who was, as you can see, alleged to have assaulted a 6 and 9-year-old over a period of time. When the officers went and executed the warrant, they also found that he had approximately 5 pounds of marijuana with him, so they arrested him for the drug charges as well. And then there's just a list of the investigations and call-outs that the officers in the Detective Bureau are involved in. If you look at the third page of that, under community policing, the third paragraph down, there's a report there regarding a video that was posted on social media about a young resident playing basketball and then hiding when the police car drove by. We've made multiple attempts to communicate with the family, and we have communicated with them. And today Lieutenant Weir spoke with them, and we're going to be sending some officers to just kind of go and spend some time with the young fella and his family, and have him get to know some of the officers as best he can. So that's a real good thing. We're happy we're going to be doing that. The bottom of this page, you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner a case that's titled swatting, and that was a call that came into our midnight shift in late June, where basically what it is somebody reports a serious crime within the home to garner a large, rapid response from the police department, including their SWAT team if needed. We were able to go there and determine that there was no serious incident that occurred within the home. And in some cases, these occur throughout the country. In some cases, these actually result in people using force because the officers think they're walking into something where there's somebody possibly been seriously injured from a weapon. But it did not occur in this case, and we're actively investigating it. And just as a side note, there in the month of June, there were 34 cars that were reported to be entered. All the vehicles were left unlocked. We had 7 stolen cars, 6 of which were recovered. You know, we do a lot of follow-up work on these cases. When we recover these cars, the Detective Bureau will go out and they'll do DNA swabbing. So hopefully if that person who stole the car has been arrested before, we will get a match, and then we can go and make an arrest of somebody later on. But you know, to prevent a lot of this, if not all of it, from occurring, we just, like I said earlier, we need people to lock their cars and take their keys out of their cars. And that'll prevent just about all of this. The training division, some of the training that occurred in June is listed here. Training liability, Officer Fedor went to class. We had ERT training. Our recruit officers, the 2 new officers started recently, but most of that training is all being done online. So they're coming here each day and they're doing it through Zoom calls with classrooms. Dive team training, ERT training, and some other use of force webinar that Attorney Daigle gave online to about half a dozen of us in the department, and some of the recruit firearms training. Training is at a low because of the COVID. Since March, all of the training that we were sending people to has been virtually canceled. So we're still doing our in-house training, the things that we can train people in, but sending people to courses and so forth has pretty much come to a standstill. But we're starting to do some of that online because we just need to do it, and they're working on it. The next page is the police cadet post. Again, they are doing Zoom meetings with their people as well. So, and they also assisted with the high school graduation. And then the sick and injury report, 28 sick days in the month of June compared to 25 in May. And then the next page is about our budget. So the fiscal year ended June 30th. I'm happy to say that we came under budget once again. I think that's the 6th year in a row. I do have to caution that we were slightly over in the overtime budget, not much, about $4,300. But this year, the people who did not take time off during the COVID virus to go on vacations or to do whatever are going to put in for their vacation. We didn't have much vacation time asked for during March, April, and May, and even in June. So those officers still have all that vacation time, and they're going to start using it when things start to loosen up a little bit. So I think we're going to see a real uptick in the use of overtime this fiscal year because of that. And training, we had, like I said a few minutes ago, we had a lot of our training canceled. We need to make up for that. We need to send people to training, not just for the things on them to go that is extra, but also for their certification, which comes up every 3 years. So we're going to see an uptick in our expenditures in training and in the overtime account in this fiscal year. But I have to say, overall, we were about 2% under the overall budget. So we'll just do some transfers and we'll be fine for this fiscal year. So a lot of credit for that goes to Assistant Chief Burns and to Lieutenant Lopes, who's new to his position in helping with the budgeting. I don't know if there's any questions on that. If not, I'm done. We go on.
Does anybody have any questions of the chief? Okay, thank you, Chief.
Yeah.
Moving on, we're going to go to old business. The first item in old business is discussion, consideration of the project at 5085 Main Street. John Knopf is representing the applicant. John, are you on? John?
I think he's on mute.
I'm sorry. There we go. Are we good now?
There he is.
My apologies. Evening, Mr. Chairman. Nice to see all of you again. My name is John Knopf. I'm an attorney on behalf of the applicants. My office is at 147 Broad Street here in Milford, and we appreciate the opportunity to present again to you this evening. You'll recall we were before you last month. There was a number of concerns raised in Sergeant Catino's memo that he was submitted to the commission last month. We met again with Deputy Chief Cinto and the sergeants this last Thursday. In the similar fashion, we have met with police and fire, EMS and fire, and John Schmitz, who was on the call with us, submitted a memo on July 8th, and we met with Deputy Chief Cinto on July 9th. We have received, as a result of the changes we've made, not only to the comments we received from the police department, but also the changes we made in response to the EMS comments and the fire comments. We have gotten a positive recommendation from the fire department, a positive recommendation from EMS, and then I see in the packet that was distributed to the police commission, I will call it a positive memo from Sergeant Catino, responding to the various issues that we were able to address with him. Again, I want to extend our appreciations to Deputy Chief Cinto and Sergeant Catino for spending time with us. We really took the concerns of all the emergency services to heart, particularly from the police department. And what might make the most sense is if we could share the screen with our professional engineer, John Schmitz. He can walk you briefly through the changes that we showed to Deputy Chief Cinto and Sergeant Catino last Thursday, and that led to this new memo that's before you this evening.
Thank you, John. Can we have a report from is Sergeant Catino there or Deputy Chief Cinto?
Yeah, if you're looking through your packets online, it's PDF pages 38 and 39, and it's fairly detailed, and it concludes that the developers have made every attempt to rectify the concerns brought to them previously, and that their adjustments will be adequate. So that's the conclusion, but John Schmitz can take you through the process and the changes that were made to reach that conclusion. But if you're looking at it through on your computers, it's pages 38 and 39 of the attachment to the agenda.
Commissioners, I think if you look under old business, you'll find the first item there is a report by Sergeant Catino to Deputy Chief Cinto, which he reaches a conclusion. that the developers have made every attempt to rectify the concerns brought to them previously and that their adjustments will be adequate. So we have an approval from the our traffic division. Chief, do you want to add anything to that or no?
No, I read the report, I've reviewed it. I see what Sergeant Catino's recommendations are, and I'm comfortable with those. Spoken with Deputy Chief Stinto, and he's just as comfortable. He's met with John, and he's met with Sergeant Catino, so I don't know if he has anything to add, but I think we're in a pretty good place.
Okay.
So,
Do any
Mr.
commissioners have
Chairman,
any questions of either the applicant or Deputy Chief Stinto? Okay, hearing none, I'll come to a vote. Can I have a motion to approve the modification of the plan as described in the report of Sergeant Paul Gattino from our traffic division? Do we have a motion?
Right, can we add to that motion? It's going to also be determined by the state of Connecticut with their recommendations. That's one
Well,
of
I
the
think the
provisions.
state traffic authority will be its own authority on this. Do we have any questions about our portion of it right now?
But we've always left it back on the state, right?
Well, with the modifications here, then it goes to the state traffic authority, and they will make the whatever changes
The
they may
final
want to make
decision.
to it. Okay. So do you have a motion, Angela?
Are you
We have a
looking
motion
set-
for
I
any-
thought did you make the motion or you want me to make
Okay, I'll make the motion to.
you make the motion and we could open it for
Okay.
discussion.
Do we have a second?
I think Al's talking.
All right. I believe that Al's second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Nobody opposed. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank
John.
you, John.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item in old business is a report from the Trumbull Police Station Renovation Update Committee. Do we have a report, Glenn? Or Lisa?
I'll defer to Assistant Chief
Okay.
Burns.
Thank you, Commissioner Labella. Yes, I'm happy to report everything is going very well as we nearing the finish line. There's only some small items that need to be completed at this point. Right up to this week, we're expecting the dedication plaque to be mounted in the lobby. What remains on the part of the town is some plantings and some fence work around the ventilation unit for the firing range outside of the building. But overall, there's very little waiting to be completed. Commissioner Labella, would you like to add anything to that?
No, not really. There's the other outstanding items are administrative in nature. We're looking for documents, warranties, and so forth that are coming through the construction manager.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Any questions by any commissioners of the committee?
I'd like to ask a
Oh,
question.
Chief, the chief has something to add.
Yeah, Assistant Chief Burns, can you just expand a little bit on some of the work that's being done to cover and to, I guess, muffle the sound of the HVAC system that is outside? I know we're working on it. I know some work's already been done, but I do know that it was a bit of a public concern for some of our neighbors. If you could just expand on that.
Right. Following concerns expressed by some of the neighbors on the side of the police building, our new Public Works Director, George Estrada, met with them and checked the area and came up with a plan for a variety of evergreen plantings along the perimeter line, as well as the replacement of the fence between the properties that had been damaged when some trees came down just last year. So he arranged for the town to replace the perimeter fencing between the properties. In addition to that, there'll be a separate section of fencing that will act as an enclosure immediately surrounding the ventilation unit that is adjacent to the police building. So with a combination of the fencing and the plantings, we hope to alleviate some of the concerns that were expressed by the neighbors and make it somewhat more attractive for the all the property in the area.
Anything else, Chief?
No.
Okay. Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Lisa. Great work here. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, under new business, we have discussion and consideration of no parking signs on Tate Road and Tate Mill Road. Do we have a report from the traffic department or Deputy Chief Cinto?
Yeah, going back to March of this year, there was a traffic study done on that road by Officer Sildraki. He recommended that we post no parking on one side of the street because it tapers down and narrows at the north end. Since then, we've gotten a petition from the residents. They want no parking in front of all the houses on both sides of the street, which would leave you the parking spaces and a section on the west side of Tate Road for vehicles parking to access the valley. Yeah, we have no issues with that at this time. The only issue I see is going to cause an inconvenience for the residents that live there. We've already had a bunch of requests for consideration for work that's going on in houses and people having parties. So these are restrictions they're going to be placing on themselves. So I'm just they have to make sure that they're going to abide by them.
Well, I have spoken to several of the residents down there. They understand that this is not selective enforcement, that whoever is parked on that street, regardless whether they're a neighbor or an owner of a house on the street, is subject to the same restrictions on parking, and they seem to be satisfied that they want to do that. So
One of the other considerations was doing a dusk to dawn or 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. parking, but my understanding is they want to go with the no parking totally. So, like I said,
that's interesting. To restrict it to just during the daylight hours?
that was what was originally suggested by traffic. I don't know if they've considered that, the residents on the street. That's an option if they wanted to take that under consideration. Or we can just post it as no parking, and that'll mean no parking for everybody. So,
Can I ask a question?
Dawn, are you still on?
No, she's not. Can
Dawn
I ask?
Contafio?
Can I ask a question? They filed a petition with specific requests, and it was for the 24-hour parking. I'm asking that as a question. Is that correct? I looked at the petition. It looked like so they have, and I know that there's been a lot of conversations between the traffic division and members of the police department and at least some members of the neighborhood. If that's correct. So I guess what I'm getting at is to have the options that you suggested. The 6 to 6 you said was suggested but rejected. Is that correct?
It was suggested by traffic when we looked at that road in March when the volume of traffic started to pick up because of the virus and shutdown.
Okay.
That was suggested by him to the department, me and the chief. Then the petition came along after that where they wanted to restrict parking completely. So
Okay.
I don't know if that's something they considered or not.
Okay, but they've complied with all the requirements of the petition.
Yes.
Okay.
How many spots are lost?
Well, my understanding is it's from number 57 north on the west side of the street only at this time. Is no parking? Is that's what we're asking for at this time?
There's no parking. No parking is in front of all the houses. There's a stretch up to number 57. It's on the west side of Tate Road. It's all woods, steep embankment. There's no houses there.
Yeah.
That would be okay.
From what I'm reading, they were going to allow parking in that area. The problem with that is cars are going to have to turn around and face in the opposite direction if they want to use that side of the road for parking.
I've been in touch with Dawn Contafio. Bill, can you allow Dawn Contafio to come back in?
Yes.
Bill
She should-
Chen?
Yes. She should be here momentarily.
Okay, if you could put Dawn on, that'd be great. Dawn?
Yes, Ray.
All right, it's been suggested by Deputy Chief Cinto that the possibility, so that we satisfy what it is you're trying to accomplish, and at the same time, not put too undue a restriction on the neighbors, that we make the ban from somewhere like 6 a.m. till 8 p.m. Would that be satisfactory?
We did discuss that as a group,
can't
and
hear
the
it.
residents, I'm sorry,
Can you hear?
I can hear you fine.
is that better?
That's fine.
Okay.
I
So
didn't
we
hear
did
what you said.
That's okay. So we did discuss that as a street, and I can bring that back to them if you would like that. The only problem with that would be enforcement. People are there from about 5 a.m. and if they felt that they needed to park on the road sooner than that, and if they're up on the trail after 7 or 8 o'clock at night, we'd also be calling because they would not be adhering to the parking restrictions.
What'd you say?
So they talked about it, but they're not comfortable with that because people go at 5 a.m. and some people are there after 8.
Okay, then apparently.
Okay, I have a
it's-
question for
It's going to
Dawn.
be a 24-hour ban on parking on the street.
I have a question for Dawn.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Dawn, I know with the no parking and, you know, if you have a function or something, or the neighbors have a function in that house, are they still going to have adequate parking? Because once it's no parking for everything. It's not just for the trail. It's no parking for your guest. Is there going to be enough parking? That's right. You know, if you have an evening function or something, just something to consider with that. And that once it's no parking for everybody.
We have discussed that, and one of the concerns by some of the residents is why we opened up part of that area on Tate Road where there are no houses. So that will allow people to have some
You're okay
parking
with
on the
that?
street.
Okay.
And we are working together. If somebody has a function right now, we use each other's parking, our driveways, to help lessen the blow to anybody's party, so that we do have extra parking.
No, that's great. It seems well thought out. I just wanted to bring that up just in case it wasn't thought of.
Thank you. We
We have that
appreciate
same
that.
issue on a dead end on our street also, where sometimes we have parking and everybody parks in the street and then it's all filled up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Do any other commissioners have any questions? Hearing none, make a motion to go ahead with the recommendation that no parking signs be installed on Tate Road at the areas designated by the traffic division. Do we have a
So
second?
moved. So moved.
Second.
All those in
second.
favor? Any discussion?
No
All those
discussion.
in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? Okay, the motion passes.
Thank you all very much.
All right, before we move to adjournment, I'd like to say something on the record here. It is with regret this evening that I announced that longtime commission chairman, police commissioner Lisa LaBella will be stepping down after many years of service on this commission dating back to 2001. Lisa first became involved with the Trumbull Police Department while championing the installation of AEDs in all police cruisers following the tragic death of Trumbull resident John Hare Sr. while he was refereeing a Trumbull High School basketball game. Lisa was steadfast in her efforts to provide the proper first responders equipment to our officers for the benefit of our community, despite harsh criticism from some town officials. Over the past 20 years, countless lives have been saved, not only by our police officers, but by individuals using the AEDs Lisa helped fundraise, for which are now in all our municipal buildings, schools, and parks. Lisa has most recently served as chairman of the building committee for the renovation of the police pistol range, locker rooms, and cell block. And as is typical with Lisa, she performed her duties professionally and with much attention to detail. Not surprisingly, the project came in on time and on budget. Lisa's service to this town, however, has not been limited to the police department. She also served on the Trumbull Board of Education, where she assisted with the construction and renovation of several of our schools and helped champion improvements to our school's curriculum. Over the years, Lisa has been a champion for many causes in our community and always does the hard work necessary for them to be successful. She's been a valued friend and confidant, and the town of Trumbull owes her a debt of gratitude for the many contributions she's made. She and her husband, Dan, will be leaving Trumbull, but Lisa's footprint will be with us for a very long time. Thank you, Lisa.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And I just want to say thank you to you, Ray, and the rest of the commission. It's been a pleasure to serve with you and an honor. And mostly an honor to have the opportunity to work with Chief and his staff and this very exemplary department. Thank you so much.
Hey, Ray, I'd also like to add, Lisa,
Go ahead, Angela.
having served with you on both commissions, the renovation and the police commission, I appreciate everything that you have done for the community, and I learned a lot from you on how to run a meeting. And again, good luck with everything, and I really appreciate everything you've done for the town.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate all of the efforts of all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
for
as
your
well.
support of my staff, myself, and the department. It's been helpful. It's been very helpful, and I appreciate it. And best of luck to you and your husband moving forward.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Give our best to Saint Dan.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, your final official act, Lisa, while police commissioner, would you entertain a motion to adjourn?
Sure. Motion to adjourn.
Angelo, second?
Well,
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very
Aye.
much. Enjoy your summer.